Hello fellow artists of blue, welcome to my channel and also welcome to another episode of Heavy Contrast, one of my favorite series where I show you how to paint box art level models using just contrast paint and highlights. As always, this series of videos is now sponsored by Corvus Belli to showcase the absolutely incredible Infinity models, and today is no different because we are going to paint one of the most beautiful tags in the game in my opinion, and it just happens to be blue. So enjoy while you see me suffer, and in the meantime go and check the Corvus Belli page, link in the description, where you can find their amazing games Infinity and Warcraft. If you've ever been curious about any of the Corvus Belli games, now is the perfect time to join. And with that out of the way, let's get cracking. As you can see, we are starting from a base coat of a Sanithol from black and white. Of course, I use an airbrush to do this, but you don't need an airbrush. Spray cans work as well, you're just going to get, well, a less refined result. And the first step is going to be to get out of the way all of the background colors. So we're going to get the steel and the black all in one go with our first layer of Starship Steel. I apply this over the black details just to give them a little bit of a slightly darker hue. So when I apply the black, it looks darker. And of course, this will be like the basic color for the steel bits. So applying this will kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. This is going to take a while and we have to be quite careful here so we don't pick up anything that is not intended to be picked up. With that done, now it's time to do the black. And the first step is going to do a dry brushing, and for this I'm going to use my favorite set of brushes, the ARTIFY 5-piece dry brush set. This is not a sponsored video, I just love this product so much that I share it anytime I can. You will find an affiliate link to Amazon in the description where you can get this set of 5 brushes of the same quality as Artis Opus for a third of the price. They are incredible. And for this video I'm going to mainly use the little one, which is one of my favorites, and the second smallest. And for my dry brushing I'm just going to use white. I highly recommend you use a satin white instead of a matte white. It just works better. And the first step is going to be doing the gun. As you can see, I'm just using it to do a cheeky quick edge highlight, because what I want is the edges to be picked up. So when I apply my black, all of these edges get a super easy edge highlight. I'm going to move into the very smallest one and finish. This is one of my favorite brushes. You can just get so much precision. With the dry brush done, we can now move on to doing all of the black. And there is no secret that my favorite black paint is Black Templar. I still think it's the best black contrast paint if you just want black. And I'm just going to apply this over all of the inner suit and other black details, because now I'm doing something that requires a little bit more precision, because I'm not just targeting all of the steel as well. I'm going to move to a smaller brush just to minimize the chances of me slipping and doing something that I will regret. With all of that done, where there were one single color, now there are 2, and this is starting to look quite good. And it's time now, finally, to do the blue, the main color. And the color I've chosen is a mix of 3 parts Mystic Blue and 1 part Warground Blue. Warground Blue is just there to desaturate Mystic Blue a little bit, because otherwise it's going to be way too much. And I think this is just the perfect color for PanOceania. I'm going to apply it very carefully to the areas that I want to be blue. for these big sections, the best thing you can do is load up your brush a lot and apply the paint in as little brush strokes as possible. Don't be afraid to go back to your palette a lot. One of the most common mistakes people make is just loading the brush once and try to do everything with that load. You have to reload and reload constantly. Once we have a nice layer, we can go in and absorb any excess. With the blue applied, this is starting to look proper, and what a beautiful blue that is. Probably one of the most beautiful blues I've painted. I think it's going to look amazing once it's done. And now it's time to do the white and the yellow details, and we have to do a little bit of cleanup. For example, here you see a little bit of the blue got onto the white surface. It's very easy to do. I'm just using Corax White, which is one of my favorite GW paints. I know that it's controversial, but I stand by that. It's just nothing that covers this well. I have everything picked out and cleaned up that I want to be white or yellow, and it's time to apply the yellow first, and for that I'm going to use Dreadnought Yellow. You can use Yandan Yellow if you don't have Dreadnought Yellow. The result is going to be the same. And for the white details, I'm going to use a Space Gray, which is a color that I really like, but it has the only issue of being opaque, like most white shades for contrast type paints. So instead of just applying it all over and probably making a big mistake in a part that I'm happy with, I'm just going to apply it and feather it out. Just like that, creating a super cool instant gradient. This is one of my favorite ways of painting white lately. It's not the easiest, it does require quite a little bit of practice, but once you have your hang around doing the feathering, it's so fast. And with the white done, this is a perfectly good army standard. You just want to paint your models to play and want to do it quickly. This is the perfect time to stop. You can maybe do the magenta lights. If you want to do that, just skip to the end of the video, but that is something you want to do at the very end of the model. It doesn't make any sense doing it now. Speaking of that, I'm going to show you now how you can take this to the next level with some highlights, starting with the undersuit and the steel. For the undersuit, we're going to be very quick because we don't want to lose a lot of time here. I'm just going to use Thunderhawk Blue to pick up some of the edges of this diamond pattern that is looking upwards. Just like that. That is more than enough. We already had a highlight there from the dry brushing. It's just very subtle. If you don't want to do the step, you can maybe do the black thin down with some express medium. I do prefer express than contrast medium, but contrast medium obviously will also work. I want to show you how to highlight an extra step on the gun, because the gun is present on the front of the model, so I think it's very important. And I did a simple highlight of Thunderhawk Blue as in the rest of the black, and now I'm going to just mix a 50-50 Thunderhawk plus Ulthuan Grey, and I'm going to do an extra final highlight. A very simple, very straightforward. All of my highlights, I want them to be looking in the same direction, so I'm going to be quite careful about that. With that simple highlight, it's now time to move onto the steel, and the first thing I want to do is to add some depth onto it, and for that what I'm going to do is use Black Lotus to do just that, to add some extra shading. I'm going to do that in the same way I've been doing it all the time, apply and feather out. I just want a little bit more darkness in the dark parts. I can use this too in some parts to add a little bit of recess shading, sort of like here. And for the steel, I'm just going to use Ulthuan Grey, just pure Ulthuan Grey, and I'm going to start with a edge highlight as thin as you can make it. especially towards the upper sections and stuff like that. If we thin this down, we can make a volumetric highlight. But that is going to be very rare because in the most situations, all of my steel details are going to look something like that. Just an edge highlight towards the source of light is going to do just wonders. For the final highlight, and as well as the highlight for the white, I'm going to use pure white. For the steel details, I'm just going to reinforce the highlights that I already did, just targeting it more, being more precise, just like that, and we can reinforce that volumetric highlight if we want. And for the white details, I'm just going to do an edge highlight using white. If you want to do some chipping, this is the time to do it, but for this model in particular, I'm not going to. And for the yellow details, I'm going to use iced yellow as my highlight. Again, a very simple highlight. We don't want to do too much for the yellow. It just stands out enough as it is. A single highlight in the points that are looking upwards, it's enough. We just have to highlight the blue now, and for that I'm going to use a 50-50 mix of electric blue and magic blue from Game Color. I'm just going to use this combination of these two colors, especially on the darker areas, like here. I'm going to use this as my edge highlight in these sections. Not so much here, as you can see it's not doing anything on the highlights. I just want to target this on the shadow parts. This is going to help give me quite a lot of definition and volume. Once that is done, I'm going to move on to pure electric blue for my second highlight. And I can use this as a thin edge highlight, for example like this, and obviously as an edge highlight on the lighter sections. And if you want to add some volumetric detail, now is the time to do it with some glazing. If you get some harsh edges, you can mix a little bit of the base mix with this electric blue to get a smooth transition. And for the final highlight, I'm just going to add a 50-50 mix of Ulthuan and Grey and electric blue. And I'm going to just do a thinner edge highlight, a more focused edge highlight, and some dots in the shadows. And I think I want a final highlight. This will be just pure Ulthuan and Grey, just some dots in the upward facing corners, just like that. If you feel like you've lost some of the intensity of the color, we can glaze using the base mix, just thinning it down with a lot of water and being very careful. You can just apply a filter, just like that, to regain some of the saturation. I'm going to show you now how you can do the magenta OSL light, and the first step is going to be just taking pure white and painting everything that we want to be glowing pure white. I'm also going to use this white to pick up the edges that are around all of those glowing details. I know this looks a little bit jarring right now. You will just have to trust the process here. In these recessed lights, I like to leave a little bit of the dark shading in between the center light and the rim, because that will make our light look more intense. in the eyes is almost impossible to do that, so I'm just going to fill them with white and paint the rim around the eye. For the magenta color, you can just use fluorescent magenta, it's going to work just as fine, but because I'm using, this is heavy contrast, I'm going to use a contrast paint this time, Doomfire Magenta, which I'm going to apply over the glowing detail and over the surfaces, which is glowing on. And I'm going to thin it down and try to apply it over the surrounding details, otherwise it's probably going to be too much. We need a little bit of a buffer zone. Be careful, Doomfire Magenta is very strong. And finally, I'm going to mix Doomfire Magenta and white, about 50-50, to make a highlight, which I'm going to put in the middle of the glowing detail. There you go. This is what's going to sell the effect, essentially. And finally, just adding a bit more white until it's this kind of really bright pink color. I'm just going to put that in the very center, just like that. And here is the finished model, and I just couldn't be happier. This is such a lovely color scheme, and I really mean it. That blue express mix is just insane. I love that color, and I'm going to use it a lot, that's for sure. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching, and thank you to all of my lovely patrons that make these videos possible. If you want to support me, go and check the link in the description to my Patreon and join. And as for me, well, I will catch you in the next one. Bye!